Today we're doing a mid-season review for the GWS Giants. How are they going this season? We're going to have a look at their season so far, all their players, and a look towards the rest of the season for the Giants and what we can expect. This is the All Aussie Rules YouTube channel. Sit back and enjoy. Welcome on into the All Aussie Rules YouTube channel. We've got another mid-season review coming up today. It is the GWS Giants 2025 mid-season review as each team gets to the bye this year. We are doing a mid-season review for each team. This is the second last one to go up on the channel. We're nearly through all the buys. There's only the Bombers to come, which will be out tomorrow. So come back, check that one out. Go back, check out the rest of them because pretty much every team is done now. Go find out how your team's going so far this year. There's plenty of them on the channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button while you're here. We're on the way towards 200 subs, so go make sure you hit that. It's free. It helps me out a lot. Hit the like button if you enjoy the video. Jump in the comments below. Let me know how you think GWS Giants will finish up season 2025. Plan for this episode is we're going to go through the season so far for the Giants, have a look back at how they're going so far. We'll then do a little player review using the All Aussie Rules rating system, and then we'll finish off this episode having a look towards the rest of season 2025 and what we can expect from the Giants over the remainder of the season this year. So let's jump into it. That's what we're here for, and this is their season so far. It's been an interesting one for them, because obviously they started the season absolutely fantastic. They've had a few scratchy patches, but overall their record still looks pretty good going into the bye. So they started opening round against Collingwood. Everybody remembers that. It was a massive victory, and since then Collingwood have absolutely been flying. So that was a really positive start at the start of the season. Winning by 52 points absolutely demolished them, certainly late in that game. Round one, they went up against Melbourne. That was a wet and yucky day in Melbourne at the MCG, and they got the 3-point win. Didn't look that great that day, but they did get the win, so that's all that matters. They then had their bye to make up for the opening round game. Round three, they headed down to Launceston, and that was a windy day. Massive wind heading in one direction. They were 5 goals up at quarter time, and then after that it was one-way traffic the opposite direction. Hawthorn ended up beating them by 2 goals. Got themselves back into a little bit of form with back-to-back wins. 81-point win over West Coast. No surprise there, West Coast are currently sitting on the bottom of the ladder. And then round 5 was Gather Round. They got the win over St Kilda at Norwood Oval by 28 points. This is where their season got a little bit shaky, though. At this point, they're 4-1, and then they got 3 losses in a row. Adelaide, Bulldogs, and Sydney. So 2 teams that are well and truly in contention of the finals in Adelaide and the Bulldogs, lost by 18 and 32 points. And then Sydney at the SCG, 14-point losers that day. Was a bit disappointing for them. Sydney currently not looking that great this year, so not the best result, that one. But then the following week, they turned it around with a 4-point win over Geelong down at GMHBA Stadium. Probably their second best win of the season outside of the Collingwood one. And that one is the one that you see and you look, oh, yep, they are definitely contenders. But then followed that up at home the following week with 34-point loss to Fremantle. So you see that 2-week period and you're like, how did that happen? You completely understand them going 1-1 across the 2 weeks, but winning the away game down in Geelong and then losing the home game against Fremantle, who at that point weren't looking fantastic. Granted, they are looking a lot better since that point. But yeah, it's just a weird little fascinating patch. They then beat Carlton and Richmond, who are obviously both lower ranked teams so far this season. Port Adelaide got them at Manuka Oval, which is another bad loss for them. They lost by 16 points. I think that was Port Adelaide out of the bye as well. Round 14 was Brisbane at the Gabba, and they won that one. So tell me how this is happening. Round 15, they played Gold Coast. This one was a home game for GWS. They got the 7-point win. They were trailing most of the day, but they just got the job done when they needed to. That has them sitting at 9 wins, 6 losses after 15 matches. Percentage is okay at 107.6. 7th on the ladder. Potentially going to drop this week, though, is their concern, because obviously they've got the bye and other teams are going to catch up to them on games. But record against the top 8, 3-4, so not fantastic. That means they've pretty much played every other team in the top 8 so far this year. Won 3 of them, lost 4. The 3 wins, Collingwood, Geelong, and Brisbane. Obviously, Gold Coast is just outside the 8. And then their losses, Hawthorn, Adelaide Bulldogs, and Fremantle. Record against the bottom 10 is pretty solid. 6 wins, 2 losses. Those 2 losses were Sydney and Port Adelaide. So both teams that they lost to in the bottom 10 were teams that finished top 2 last season on the AFL ladder and have completely dropped off. So maybe not terrible results, but at the same time, they win both of those. And if they were 11 and 4 right now, they'd be sitting in the top 4 comfortably and would be saying a lot different things about them, I think. It's just these little lapses in games that cost them wins that, is really affecting their ladder position, I think. It's a very, very similar spot to where they were this time last year, at least in my mind. I had them at this point of the year like a team that potentially would drop off towards the end of the year. They did the exact opposite and they turned it around. So maybe that's what happens again this year. They finally find their form and they come home really strong. We'll have to wait and see after the break. But at the moment, it's very hard and confusing to know exactly where they are. They're 4 wins from their last 5 games, so their form isn't bad. It's just that one loss was Port Adelaide, and their last 2 games were good though. Brisbane and Gold Coast wins. So, I don't know. They're a puzzling team, to say the least. When they look good, they look really good. We'll have a look at some of the stats for this, key stats for GWS this year. The only team that doesn't really dominate territory that's up anywhere decent this season. They're 15th in total time in their forward half. So that's just like incredible when you compare that to the rest of the league. The only 3 teams below them in time in forward half are the 3 bottom teams on the ladder. They're North Melbourne, Richmond, and West Coast. No other team that's even in the top 9 teams at the moment is below 50%, and they are well below 50%. So it just shows you that maybe they play football a lot different than other teams. It's a fascinating stat, and one that I don't really know if it means a whole heap at the end of the day, but it does. It's a weird way to play when you think about trying to win games of football. You typically want the ball in your half as much as possible, but that's not how they play. If you look at the scoring for GWS, where they get their scores from, it's from stoppage. They're really poor, 14th in the competition, and going the other way, they're really bad at defending against stoppage. So I think they're about 14th again from defence from stoppage, but opposition scores from centre bounce, they are 18th in the league. So they concede the most amount of points per game in the whole competition from centre bounce. That is concerning, I think. They're not a bad clearance team. They've got some brutes in there, Tom Green, but it's a weird thing that they just can't defend against that centre bounce and all-round stoppages, to be completely honest. So I think that is something that they have to think about and they have to look at seriously as a way of trying to take that next step, I guess. If they're not careful, that they are a team that could drop out again. I don't think they will. I think they will probably come good at some point in the later half of this season and have a bit of a streak of 5 or 6 wins. But it's just a concerning thing. Another little random tidbit from their stats: their opposition kick 18th in the league in terms of accuracy. So they get the favours from that. Yes, that is partly due to where they make them take the shots from and what pressure they're under when they're taking those shots. But it's just something that is noteworthy, I guess, that their opposition are the worst kicking at goal by far on anyone else. We'll jump into our player review. This is all based on the All Aussie Rules rating system that we do. If you're new around here, I'll give you a little explanation. Every player gets a rating every single game based on how they go. We also put them into positions. Wherever they play the most is where the position they're ranked in here. And then from that, we can give them a class rating. Top 10% of each position is classed as elite. 10 to 25% is top class. 25 to 40% is above average. 40 to 60 is average. And then 60 to 100 is below average. Every time, only games where you play 50% or more game time are counted. And players that have played less than 5 games are classified as unranked. So there will be a few of them throughout this little next section. Starting off with the key defenders for GWS. This is a really strong part of their ground. I think they're really good at both ends. And I know they have some good players in the midfield, but they just don't quite put it together, I don't think. Whereas both ends, they're really, really good. Firstly, you start with the key defenders. Sam Taylor, elite. He's been elite the last few years. His rating was a little bit lower last year due to the fact that he missed so much football with concussion and another injury as well. But he's the 4th best key defender according to our rating system so far this year. He's been great. Harry Himmelberg hasn't missed a game. He's in that top class range, so he's 8th best. And then Jack Buckley, who last year was a lot higher ranked. He was in the top 5, I think, last year. Is at currently 17th. So he's still pretty solid. 3 in the top 18 is insane numbers for key defenders. They are stacked back there. Chuck in the fact that Lika Lear has only played 5 games. His rating hasn't been great in those 5 games, but it's just because they're stacked in that position. Any club would be crazy not to chase after someone like him at the end of this season, because if he's available, he would be definitely a top 3 key defender at pretty much every other club in the competition. We move on to the general defenders now. Another area of the ground that they absolutely specialise in. Lockie Ash has gone to another level this year. He's the 3rd best general defender so far this year. He has absolutely stepped up and been fantastic pretty much every single week this year so far. Lockie Whitfield doing what Lockie Whitfield does. His last couple seasons have been fantastic off that half-back line, and this year is no exception. He's the 7th best. He is in the elite category. Connor Iden is probably my favourite back there, in all honesty. He rates above average, but he's that defensive backman. Unlike the other two who are your running backmen, and typically the higher rated players are your ball users, the one that get plenty of it. But Connor is that lockdown defender that does a great job week in, week out, and he's ranked 27th as a general defender. He is absolutely fantastic. I rate him highly. Ryan Angwin's only played the 1 game. Joe Fonte has played 8 games, rates below average as a general defender so far, but I mean, it's hard to work your way into this this team as a general defender because they're already pretty stacked in that position. Connor Stone's played 7 games, similar story for him. Moving into the forward line, another area of the ground where they're really strong. Key forwards, obviously Jesse Hogan. He's a Coleman medalist last year. Missed a few games early season, played 12. He rates elite, 5th best key forward in the competition so far this year. He's been fantastic, there's no doubt about it. His best is absolutely unstoppable, just about. He's very close to, if not the best one-on-one player in the competition. He's been great, there's no doubt. Jake Riccardi, he's played 11 games. He pinch hits in the ruck as the backup ruck at times as well. He's had a good season, showing some good signs. Rates top class, which is probably higher than most people would think he would be. 12th best key forward. Max Drozowski, he's currently unranked, only played the 2 games. And Aaron Cadman, 15 matches, below average, 37th best key forward. But his last couple weeks, he's shown some really good signs that he is developing into the player that they and everybody else expected him to pre-draft. So I think over the rest of this season and probably the next couple seasons, we'll really start to see Aaron Cadman take off. General forwards, once again, quite a lot of talent in this area. Toby Green, he does go through the midfield quite a bit as well, but generally is a general forward. Third best in the competition. Elite rating, absolutely fantastic. He's been great for the last 3-4... Well, he's been great since he started in the league, but he's really taken off, I think, since being captain of this club. Brent Daniels played 6 games, currently unranked, but his rating is really quite high. So once he does get a rating, that quite possibly will be someone that is in the elite to top class range. Darcy Jones, 14 games, top class, 14th best in the competition. Callum Brown, 13. He plays key forward sometimes, but mainly isn't required to be that key target because they have quite a lot of tools down there, depending on who's playing in Hogan, Riccardi, Cadman, Stringer, and the like. He's top class as well. Harvey, Thomas, and Stringer both rate below average so far this year. Both capable of being a lot higher than that, but so far this year have not had the numbers. That just leaves Cody Angrove, who's played 4 games, and Delana, who's played 3. Both unranked, both low ratings so far in their career. Or this season. Midfielders, once again, like they have some top-end talent. I just don't think they quite have the depth in this position. Tom Green, elite. Ranked 9th best inside midfielder in the competition. Having a fantastic season. As he has for the last few seasons. This season, he's going great. Finn Callaghan started the season absolutely spectacularly against Collingwood. Rated top class across the year, 21st best inside midfielder. I think we'll see him continue to grow over the next couple seasons and potentially see him move into that elite range by probably next year based on what we've seen. Josh Kelly, rates below average, so this is where they kind of drop off. They don't have that third inside mid who's average or better based on numbers so far this year. Josh Kelly's certainly capable of being a lot higher than that, but I just don't think he's playing his best or the best football at the moment. Harry Rouston, has played 3 games. Looked really good in those 3 games. He would rate below average at the moment, but I think he's shown some signs that he could really be that 3rd or 4th inside mid for this team. Toby Bedford played 14 games, rates below average. Xavier O'Halloran rotates through a multiple of positions, outside mid, inside mid, few others. He's below average at the moment. Jumping out to the outside midfielders, starting with Callum Ward, who's obviously finished for the season due to injury. He was rated average, 22nd best. He was having a good season. He certainly was playing his role quite well. Jacob Ware, he's below average, 33rd. Caniglio's only played the 3 games, currently unranked. Toby McMullen, 8 games, below average, 37th best outside midfielder. And James Leakes played just the 2 games, pretty low rating for him across those 2 games. Ruckman, this is an interesting one. Nicholas Madden's only played the 3 games, the most 3 recent. He's starting to look like he fits into this role quite well as the second ruckman for this team. I think he's got a lot of potential going forward, so he's been pretty good. Kieran Briggs has obviously missed quite a bit of football lately, played just the 11 games so far this year. 15th best ruckman, he's certainly capable of better than that. He was ranked a lot higher than that last season. So that's, I guess, where he's at so far, is a little bit below his best so far this year. Lachlan Keefe, he's a backup ruckman, and that's about where his rating suggests he is. A look at the positional spread for this team. Just a little explanation on numbers and stuff. Most teams should average about 2.5 to 3 elite players. GWS are at 6. So that shows their top end class. Unfortunately, it drops off after their top class. They have 6 elite, 5 top class, which is insane. 11 players like in their top 25% for their positions is really high from any team. That is insanely good. The problem is that above average and average category, they just don't have anyone really. They've got 4 players and then 10 in the below average and 11 in unranked. If you look at it, key defenders, they're really strong. 3 in above average or better. General defenders, exactly the same. 3 players in above average or better. Backline is a really solid. Forward line, you can say the same. 2 key forwards, top class or better. 3 general forwards, top class or better. So once again, forward line's pretty solid. Inside mids, probably missing 1 or 2 in that area. Just the 2 in the top class or above, everyone else below average. Outside mids, maybe lacking a good outside runner, maybe. Callum Ward plays that role a little bit when he's obviously before his injury, but maybe lacks a little bit of zing maybe that some other teams have from their outside midfielders. And Ruckman obviously at the moment not having the fantastic season from their Ruckman. Moving on to what they have left to come in season 2025. Expected win percentage is done based on the ELO rating system we have here at All Aussie Rules. Each team gets a rating every game. That gives us a little indication. It's not a perfect system, but it just gives us a little indication of how each team is going and what their win chances are, hypothetically, in each match. That gives us an expected wins and an expected ladder position for the end of season. So round 16 is this weekend. They have the bye. Coming out of the bye, round 17, they've got West Coast over at Optus Stadium. Not the toughest game out of the bye, but at the same time, it's a road trip all the way across the country. So you'd expect GWS to win this one comfortably, but I wouldn't be absolutely writing it in the book. Geelong at NG Stadium's an interesting one. Obviously, they beat Geelong earlier this season down at GMHBA, so you'd have to think GWS will be a solid chance in that one. The Bombers at Marvel Stadium, Sydney, in the second clash of the bridge this season. Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium will be a tough one. North Melbourne at Manuka Oval. Gold Coast up on the Gold Coast will be another tough one. A little expansion cup. Obviously, they did beat them recently, as recently as last weekend. St Kilda at NG Stadium to finish the season. So a couple tough ones, a couple winnable ones. And it's going to be an interesting run home, I think, for GWS. Based on their win percentages there, that gives them a total of 14.07 wins for the for the season, which would have them sitting 7th on the ladder. I think if they were to get on a real good roll, they are still capable of being a top 4 team. I just don't see it at the moment based on what we've seen. I would expect that they're probably going to be in that 6 to 9 range. 7th is probably a solid spot. Like, you're going to need 13 wins minimum to play finals. It's possible that you're going to need 14 wins this season to play finals. The fact that they're on 9 already means they only need to win 5 to guarantee themselves finals coming home. There's 8 games left. So 5 and 3 would be enough for them to play finals, you'd imagine. And that would probably be enough to completely wipe out the Port Adelaides, the Carltons, the Sydneys, just about. That's pretty much everything I think we've got for GWS for season 2025 mid-season review. Jump in the comments, let me know where you see GWS finishing this season. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos that we post. Plenty of socials, go check them out. We post all the time on them. Podcast goes live twice a week here, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So go check all that out. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be back tomorrow with the Essendon Bombers mid-season review. And then it's the run home. So plenty more content to come. I'm Jay. This is All Aussie Rules. Catch us on the next one.